It's a great honor and a privilege to be with Josef Waterman. We're here in your home. And Josef, I want to ask you, you were born in Amsterdam. And you...
Yeah, I was born in Amsterdam.
But you Dutch, and you've never heard of the name Jan Zwartendijk?
Never.
But you have heard of the name Sugihara?
Yeah.
Trainer Sugihara.
Yeah.
And you know that Sugihara was the one that gave the visas.
Visas for whatever, for Curaçao or for... Yeah.
He gave the visas, the transit visas that you could go through Japan, and that saved the Mir Yeshiva and...
Okay, yeah.
In order for Sugihara to give the transit visas, people had to have an entry visa.
To Japan?
He could give a transit visa through Japan, but they needed a final destination.
And that was Curaçao under Dutch government.
And how did that come about? So I'll quickly tell you. So this is an article, how my grandmother's chutzpah helped Japan's consul save thousands of Jews. And this is a story about Peppy Lewin, who came from Sternheim. She came from Amsterdam, and she was actually married to Lewin. What happened is that the Rosh Yeshiva of Chochmei Lublin, he actually made Meir Shapiro made the shidduch between Peppy Lewin and her husband, who actually came from Lodz, and Isaac Lewin. He actually came from Lodz. And they got married, and when they got married, they went to Poland. And in Poland, Peppy Lewin said to her husband, Isaac Lewin, they were in Lodz, that it's not good, the Germans have invaded, so they fled to Lithuania with their son. They went with their son Nathan. He was 2 years old.
Okay.
They come to Lithuania. In Lithuania, Peppy Lewin realized that it's not going to be good in Lithuania as well. She contacted the Dutch ambassador in Riga. His name was deDecker. And she said, I'm a Dutch citizen. Can I go to the Dutch East Indies, which is today Indonesia, but it was the Dutch East Indies.
I know.
And he said, no, you can't go there. You can go to the Dutch West Indies, which is the island of Curaçao and Suriname.
Hello.
So she said,
Curaçao, Aruba, Bonaire, Curaçao, Suriname.
So she said,
I learned everything.
So he said, give me your passport and I'll write it in. And he wrote it, that you don't need a visa to go to the island of Curaçao. And she got the very first entry visa to go to Curaçao.
And Jan, how's he called?
So I'll tell you. So then she says to deDecker, my husband's Polish, what can I do with him? So deDecker says and they did this all by mail, she says to Peppy Lewin, for your husband, Dr. Isaac Lewin, let him go to the Dutch consul in Kovno. His name is Jan Zwartendijk.
Okay.
Let him copy what I put on your entry visa on the
empty page.
It's a travel document.
Yeah.
And they didn't copy exactly what I put on yours. And that's what they did. They went to Jan Zwartendijk, and this is a picture of Jan Zwartendijk. He worked for Philips. Before he was working for Philips, they had another Dutch consul in Kovno, who was actually a Nazi sympathizer, and deDecker had him removed, and he asked Jan Zwartendijk, who worked for Philips, can you be the honorary consul general?
I understand.
And he took up the position. And when Peppy Lewin came, he saw what deDecker had written on her passport. He copied it onto her husband's, Isaac Lewin's, and with that, he said, go to Sugihara and ask for a transit visa through Japan. And that's what they did.
Yeah.
And that's how...
keeps me asking, okay, that the Japanese accepted him, I can understand. But why did Curaçao accept them? Because she was Dutch.
She was Dutch. And without that entry visa to Curaçao, no Jews went to Curaçao.
That's not true. I know people who went to Curaçao.
But not from the war, not from these visas. Because they all landed up in Japan, and from Japan they either went to America or they went to Shanghai. But by having the Curaçao entry visa, by having that piece of paper, Because what happened is then the Mir Yeshiva
Yeah.
had Polish pieces of paper, which was like a document, and they went to Zwartendijk, and he issued them also Curacao entry visas. And with that Curacao entry visa,
I know.
they could go to Sugihara, who could give the transit visa.
I understand. Now I know people that went to Curaçao from Holland, they fled via Spain to Portugal and then to Curaçao.
Was this during
Dutch.
the war?
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened is Jan Zwartendijk, who was a tremendous hero,
Yeah.
and here's a picture of him.
Yeah.
So when Sugihara was given Chasidei Motolam in 1985, Jan Zwartendijk wasn't recognized. He was only given it later, about 10 years later, but he had already passed away.
So it's
But
sure.
Yad Vashem gave it
Probably.
in
the name of.
in his memory. But at Boys Town in Beit Vegan, there's a big monument to Jan Zwartendijk where his children came, and today it's there in Boys Town. So you can be very, very proud of your Dutch heritage, because if it wasn't for Peppy Lewin having come from Amsterdam and her idea to go to the Dutch East Indies, which actually turned out to be the Dutch West Indies, and if it wasn't for Jan Zwartendijk, he didn't have to do it.
No, of course, I understand.
But he did it, and it's the most amazing story about how the Dutch saved.
No, so I tell you, there were a great number of Dutch who helped, and there were a very great number of Dutch who passed the Jews to the Germans.
Like informed.
Like informers. So the positive idea that we had here in the year 60, 70 about Holland and the Jews is changed. It's now more equal. Yes, yes, there are and there are.
Exactly like this story with Zwartendijk. Before he was the Consul General, the previous one was a big Nazi sympathizer. So this is for you, and you're going to find it very interesting. You can be very proud of your Dutch heritage.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna hang this, and so that's it. If I find the